Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to HT Talks, where knowledge meets conversation and education takes the center stage. Today's discussion revolves around the pivotal aspect of modern pedagogy, and that is experiential learning. As we navigate the ever evolving landscape of education, the significance of experiential learning stands out as a beacon of innovation. Our esteemed panel for this discussion today are Dr. Vijay Datta. He is the principal of Modern School Barakamba Road for over 10 years now and has spent over 3 decades in the public school circuit. He is a member of the governing body of CBSE and the National Curriculum Committee NCERT. He is also the recipient of the President's National Award and Shiksha Ratna. Welcome, sir.
Greetings.
Dr. Mala Gupta is the principal at Springdale School, Pusa Road. She has been conferred with the Principal of Innovation Award at the national level in Youth Ideathon last year for providing exemplary leadership in the cause of nurturing innovation and entrepreneurship in school. She has also been conferred with the Visionary Edu Leader Award for steering the institution to greater heights. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jitin Chawla is a career counselor and study abroad expert. Mr. Chawla is an MBA graduate from the Distinguished Business Institute Faculty of Management Studies, University of Delhi. He is the founder and director of the Center for Career Development, that is North India's most illustrious career counseling and study abroad firm. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's start with you, Dr. Datta. How crucial is it for students to engage in experiential learning during their early years of education? And what role does it play in shaping a student's holistic development?
Well, it's extremely important, I would say, because the formative years are the years what one learns in remains throughout the life. It gets into one's instincts, whatever one has learned during that period, and he also learns how to learn. So that is why I say that the formative years are most important and even more for sustainable learning. I would just say a few favorite lines of mine before I begin or say further. A fish and you feed him for a day, teach him how to fish and you feed him for the life. So it is about not just teaching children how to fish, but about their learning how to fish. That is what is going to make them successful in their lives. And we at the schools take every step in this regard. We indulge them in a lot of activities for this reason. We engage them in role plays, nukkad nataks, at a slightly senior level depict mitosis, meiosis with students acting as chromosomes and enacting it. And the junior level, children can be made planets, sun, moon, and they, by their movements, depict or understand the concept of an eclipse. Similarly, the names of the forests, name of the oceans are assigned to the students, and they are kind of assuming themselves. Say, for example, I am Pacific Ocean, I am the deepest sea. Now, a child enacts this while one is growing, would remember all his life, his batchmates would remember this, that Pacific Ocean is the deepest one because, say, Ramesh acted as Pacific Ocean and he said, because these, like I said, are the moments that are most impressionable. They stay with you through your life. Your kind, your type is made during this period. And so very well, it is called the formative years. It's like learning the bicycle. When you learn a bicycle in childhood, it's so very easy. And later in the advanced age, if you want to learn it in the middle age, say around in your 30s or so, it becomes so much more difficult. So it comes so very natural to a person, whatever one experiences. The base word is experience, and that's how we call it experiential learning. After having learned the bicycle as a child, he can very well learn how to ride a motorbike, a car, and or even fly an aircraft. Then sky's the limit. But formative years are most important for a child. It's like suppose you have to learn how to cook. Unless you cook yourself just by hearing it out, you cannot prepare a dish. Now is the age of technology, and computers have come in our lives big time. How does one learn computers? Theory, of course, very well. It's very nice. But the best people in the field are the ones who tried themselves, who learned it. And unless, even if you know the theory, you don't practice it, you won't learn, you won't master technology, which is the in thing now. Now, it's been a long time since Newton noticed the falling of an apple, and because he noticed it, he watched it happen. Therefore, he could go on and he could create those three laws of law of inertia, law, the second law of Newton, the third law. The first law, of course, teaches you about the inertia. When you wear a seat belt, or second one is about catching a ball in the cricket. It relates to Newton's second law. The rocket, to every action, there's equal and opposite reaction. The rocket works on that principle. So when you know the basic principle, the concept, you can take it forward and you can create anything later in your life. So therefore, I say it is very crucial for students to engage in experiential learning in their early years, even for language. Like uh, I have been teaching English at the old school. So, say for example, a word like improvised. When I was a child, I didn't understand. My teacher of English tried to explain me the word improvised, and I told him that what does it mean? I didn't follow. I didn't understand. He gave me an example, and the next day he brought a lamp also. How was that? It was a bottle. Through the lid, the wick was put, and there was oil inside it, and he lit it and showed that this is an improvised lamp. Now, having experienced it, I know it for life what is the word improvised, whether it is words, whether it is phrases, or sentences, rhymes that are taught to us as kids, as say in the early years of education, stay with us and they become part of us, very much part of us. Like, I'll give you another example, might be about for want of a nail, the shoe was lost for want of a shoe, the horse was lost for want of a horse, the rider was lost, and for want of a rider, the battle was lost, and for want of a battle, the kingdom was lost. Now, these are the things that tell us, we learned it while we were kids, tell us that the importance of small things, about the importance of giving attention to the smallest detail, because that is what would definitely win us kingdom, will win these children kingdoms when they grow up. Thank you.
Sure. So we do clearly get that, that experiential learning, of course, in early years fosters practical understanding and application of knowledge. Thank you so much, Dr. Datta. And of course, it helps in laying a very strong foundation for lifelong learning. Coming to you, Dr. Gupta, how does the National Education Policy address and support the integration of experiential learning in the curriculum? And while Dr. Datta did share some examples, it will be nice for us to hear some other examples from your school if you could elucidate.
Yeah, yeah. So, good afternoon. Now, see, what is this national education policy? It is talking about competency-based learning and to drift away from, content-centric learning. That is the whole focus of NEP. And what does experiential learning talks about? Experiential learning also focuses on applying information to real world situation. So if you think about NEP and experiential learning encompasses each other. They are in sync with each other. And what we call today experiential learning, what the examples Dr. Datar has also given, earlier we used to talk about hands on learning, practical based learning. So these are, some of the things which were there earlier, but now more focus is towards them because automatically the examples have proved it beyond doubt that learning is much more at a deeper root level. It is not just rote learning. Rote learning, you do, you perform, and you forget. But experiential learning is something that is impressionable. And you are able to talk about it anytime. And also the fear of performing also goes because once something which you have done it yourself, as Dr. Tatar has said that the word improvise, he cannot forget till date. So similarly, experiential learning is something which the child has performed in the class, whether from the formative years or from the middle school years to the senior secondary level. In fact, when the students leave schools and go to the colleges, sometimes they call you back if you're teaching them. I'm a biology person. Many a times I get call from students, with that thrill and excitement saying that what has been taught in my, for example, a dental college or a medical college, I have done it in 12th and they feel so happy because, they have learned that, they have practiced that, they have done a demonstration, they have done an activity based learning. So I think the focus which is now is really something which was the need of the hour. And if I say earlier times, if people used to talk about practical based learning or experiential learning, it was very evident that we're talking about science or maths because all practicals, everything was in science or maths. So automatically, again, if you're talking about skills like logical reasoning or creative thinking, it would again consider that it's science and maths. Now this mindset has been broken completely thanks to NEP, and we are progressing towards it. Every subject, you talk about any subject, and every subject has got project. And when they have got project is nothing but a kind of investigation into that subject, which enhances the learning process. I remember math students, while doing trigonometry, in 10th, were very, very, they had a lot of fear that, okay, trigonometry, we have to learn the formulas, and this is the methodology. And the formulas are same when we were doing. When we were doing trigonometry, it was the same kind of formula. Now, what is happening? Now, children can assess the height of the building or the tree using clinometer, which they make it in the school. So something which they experience, they will never forget that what is taken into consideration, whether it is the base or the height or what is required. English has ASL. Now, when it is ASL, the teacher has got the freedom or the flexibility of picking up any pertinent topic. It can be elections. It can be any national or international issues. And the student, there's a deliberation in the class, and every child then gets a chance to speak. If it is social science, you have project based learning there. There's so much from the newspaper I would like to compliment that we can do it from. And at Spring Days, let me tell you, because whenever we make a mandate, for example, if I say no, this newspaper you have to purchase, this has to be a part of your curriculum, so you have to make the children understand why. Because very easily they can say we get a newspaper at home, Why should we have a newspaper in school? If the teachers also become so skilled that they start using newspaper for their day-to-day teaching methodology, there is endless examples. You have pictures in the newspaper which can be used by the science teacher, by the social science teacher, by the English teacher, and based on that you can teach students and engage the students in storytelling, in analytical answering, in picture story. So there are so many examples which these days children are engrossed in, and they participate. And I think teaching learning process is becoming more engaging and more enjoyable, because when the teacher is taking examples, you have and let me also compliment the new policies of CBSE. Now CBSE has made mandated certain clubs to be a part of the school, and I'm happy to share that last year we started with 17 new clubs in our school: entrepreneur club, ATL club, allocation club, debating club, health club, nutrition, eco. Now if every child is being oriented to pick up any one club of his choice, and then he participates in that club, he goes for a visit, there is so much learning, because there is a role play, as Dr. Datta said. When you go to a heritage site, not only you study the heritage from the social science point of view, but you look at the building and kind of understands the architecture. It talks about mathematics and science. Based on that, you can do a role play and a theatrical skill. So there are so many things which can be learned using these new experiential learning based methodologies. So
Excellent.
I think it is in sync with each other, and it is of course valued now more by the students.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. And as you highlighted, students do process information deeply and learn about the subtle nuances of subject that can only
Yeah.
be appreciated through these experiential activities. Mr. Chavla, coming to you, what are some examples of experiential learning activities outside the traditional school environment?
First of all, I like to acknowledge and appreciate. I think my co-panelists, Dr. Datta and Dr. Gupta, have given excellent examples and detailing of how it is being done at the school. I would give it a slight twist. I'll speak as a career counselor. I day in and day out, I get a lot of parents from, I would say, top business families, judges' children, and so on. And when I start speaking to them, and I ask them, do you know about finance? So let's say a ninth or a 10th grade student. So out of maybe 100 students, 10 will say, yes, I know a little bit. Maybe three will say, I have tried a stock market game. So if I mean, I would rather think that CBSE should make it mandatory for children to go through some parts of finance, even at a younger age. People like Citibank have now courses free of charge for anybody who can, who needs to taste finance. Similarly, across the world, there are amazing portals which can help you. I'm just trying to open up one portal. So there are amazing portals which showcase new age uh, learnings, I would say. For example, NAS Academy. I hope you can see this on the screen. So this
uh,
is, can you
No,
see
we
this on the
cannot
screen?
see.
no,
No,
no.
yeah, now,
Okay.
yes.
Now we can. Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is NAS Academy. Nasir Hussain is a very big vlogger. He got the best of the best people from across the world, and look at the courses, how to master NFTs. So me and my team, we do about 200 plus schools every year in India and Gulf, but we don't get any students who ask us about, I want to make a career in NFT. How do I YouTube shorts? Of course, children are doing. How to be
Yeah.
a filmmaker? How to be a business person? How to be a better writer? Dhruv Rathi is a pretty popular guy who is doing how to do a million things at once. How to turn an idea into $1 billion business. Similarly, there's a site which is a US site with more than 1 lakh, you know, uh, more than 1 lakh courses on it, like outschool.com. So there are children who want to learn gaming. There are children who can, they can make their own games. They can learn languages. They can learn. There are different clubs. Of course, some schools, I would say, like I'm sitting with top schools right now. but a lot of schools still are not able to provide children facilities to this extent. There are 1 lakh plus courses at any time on outschool.com. Similarly, if I look at another area which I'll cover later on also, internships. So, uh, can you see the internship portal now?
No.
Oh, okay. I
Nitin,
think
we have a specific question we want to detail on internships, so we can talk about it
absolutely.
to
Absolutely. So
that
what I'm trying to
question.
say here is there are online portals, there are summer camps, there are a lot of experience, and the children need to go out from an environment which is typically school, coaching institute, and ghar. So a child, when one such I've got shy children who have gone to an entrepreneurship camp at EDI Ahmedabad and they've done amazingly well. I've got a child who went and joined Makers Asylum in Goa, and he came back a techie. I mean, this guy was in eighth grade when he went there, and so on and so forth. So amazing examples where children have gone out of the school, participated in summer camps, participated in online activities which I'm sharing, internships, of course, research also lets people evolve beyond curriculum. So the moment they do this, they're able to ideate. There are good channels on YouTube like Big Think, which again can be utilized to understand what is happening latest. I was doing a counselors meet at IIT Kanpur Center, Noida, day before yesterday, and we had about 60 counselors from prominent schools. We showed to the counselors when we asked them how much time would you take to write a book. Everyone said 1 year, 6 months, 4 months. In 2.5 minutes, our AI software wrote a book complete with references in 2.5 minutes. Yeah, so that is pretty exciting. So I keep on sharing with people that hey, amazing stuff is available online. Let's look at it, let's decide our interest areas, and let's work on it so that my mind opens up. And careers are also very different today. You have media tech, like Netflix is a media tech company. You have health tech companies where again technology is also everywhere. So as a child, I need to learn some bit of technology, some bit of AI. So boards like CBSE have already introduced, but then technology keeps on changing so fast. So the only learning available, only I would say advanced learning available to students today is online. So which they can add on to the school curriculum, maybe competitive learning, and then build up their careers.
Sure. I think also by to add to what you just said, by incorporating such concrete experiences which are outside the traditional classroom, students will also definitely engage more regions of their brain and also make connections with the material better. They will learn to do that. Coming to you, Dr. Datta, how are the teachers trained and equipped to incorporate experiential learning within their subject areas? How do they get trained? And for the challenges that they may face, how do you tackle those in order for to
Right,
keep the
right.
learning meaningful and connected to the real life situations?
Yes. So the teachers regularly attend workshops, conferences, exchange programs, and more than that, the sharing of the best practices, what works and what they believe in. Now, best practices, earlier we were talking about the early stages. One of them, I would say, is the introduction of the childhood games that we have done. So, hopscotch, marbles, uh, and other such childhood games help overcome mild autism, dyslexia, dyscalculia, and it is my strong belief that in the present times, all such ailments are increasing by the day for the simple reason that the childhood games are not so much practiced. Their hand-eye skills are dying out, and instead they're spending too much of time on the screen. You can get a sense, you can get an idea out of watching something on the screen, but unless it is practiced, unless the hand eye coordination comes into play, it is not going to translate into something very fruitful. Now, the school leadership, of course, tries to provide all necessary resources, guide the students, support them, encourage them, whenever they are doing something which is related to the experiential learning, to the practicals. We have practicals, like ma'am just said, in almost every subject now. And we came up with a science park initially in our school where teachers take the children and inculcate a scientific attitude amongst them. As for the challenges that you just talked about, time is a constraint, especially in a place like Delhi, where travel, the commute takes up so much of time. But still, I would say, where there's a will, there's a way. It can happen. We can always encourage our children to be learning experientially, practicing things, dealing real life situations. We can give them uh, simulate situations where children can learn how they would deal the real life situations. Similar problems can be given out, crossing from one place to another where there is a red mark there in which you cannot step. There are blue spots and there is a yellow spot. So yellow is where you can keep your material but not stand. Blue you can stand. So similar exercises are developed, which give them the hands-on experience where they practice how to overcome the challenges in life. Now, tackling challenges, handling the challenges is, of course, the key. One needs to plan in a very strategic manner. Like in a game like this, where there are three spots, I said you have to cross from one side to another, and you have to carry your material. You can place the material on yellow, you can step on blue, red is out of bounds. So, how you navigate through such situations in life, you need to strategically plan. So, strategic planning, resource management are very important. Then, field trips, going out to the factories, seeing how things happen over there on ground. Like commerce can be taught just by books, but the field trips, when they go to a factory, recently children went to a parley factory, saw how biscuits are made, prepared. I think that goes a long way. We as a school have started sportability for the special needs children, and they come in and utilize the school facilities. They play various sports, and physically, when they are doing all this, swimming or playing any sport, it helps them uh, recover. It helps them tide through the life in a better way. NCC is again reintroduced here. NCC is another such thing. The camps, when the children go on camps, they live a real life because they can be mollycoddled in situations in schools like ours. But when they go to the NCC camp, we have a boarding component. When they come and stay in the boarding, they are leading the life in the truest sense. There are also the international trips where they go out and see the world, navigate through it. There are local trips. And of course, the labs are well equipped. All the experiments they get to perform themselves, of course, guided, but perform themselves. And when they perform themselves, it makes them equipped for life. I have already talked about the science park where they go and experience, see it, how a potential energy changes into kinetic energy, and so on and so forth. Then is important the regular reflection. Having dealt a situation on ground, they need to reflect upon it. They need to think, introspect whether what they did, how it worked. Reflection is very important, and we have reflection sheets. The staff is trained to give out the reflection sheets to the students. So after a chapter, a child writes what he has understood, not understood, or would like to be taught again. So we call them the reflection sheets. Then, of course, the constructive discussions are encouraged by the teachers with the students. And all this requires effective communication. Therefore, the communication of the teachers is always stressed upon because children need to be told what they are supposed to do. And do is the word that is in bold capitals here because we are talking about the experiential learning. When you do something, you learn it for life. Whether it is a skill of plumbing or electrical, you have to fix an MCB, you know how when the electricity trips, you will be able to mend. If the teachers have trained them to think in a certain manner and make them practice it. I think that's what the teachers now more and more are doing because, like ma'am was just talking about, the NEP talks about experiential learning, so it comes into forefront much more. Though some schools are already following the innovative practices, but now the experiential learning is the order of the day.
Sure, sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Datta. Coming to you, Dr. Gupta, what specific skill sets do students embrace through hands-on learning, if you could elucidate that? And, what are the otherwise would be challenging otherwise to develop solely through traditional classroom methods? If you could talk us through some of those skill sets that they advance in.
Yeah, so I will join the dots what Dr. Datta said that in present day times, those childhood games have kind of disappeared from our lives, and as a result, what happens is the children, especially when they hit the secondary level classes, ninth and 10th, and in the higher classes, they some of them they become very, very loner. Why? Because they are on the gadgets, they are either doing something online, or they don't want to participate in the team game, which earlier used to be there. And so when we talk about these experiential learning, all the 21st century learning skills that we talk about, or we presume that the child, when graduates the school, should be having, it comes alive naturally through experiential learning. When you're doing experiential learning, you're working in groups, collaborative learning habit comes in. When you're doing something on your own and trying to learn out, your communication becomes better, so your communication skills improve. Because in experiential learning at Springdale's, for example, what we do, if we understand that this particular chapter can be done in a project based learning, so the entire chapter is fragmented into certain topics, and a group of 2 or 3 students is given one topic, and that topic is being done by those 3 students in front of the entire class. So when the children in team are preparing for it, they have to have confidence, they have to have communication skills, they have to be tech savvy, because if you are teaching or your peer learning in your classroom, you have to be confident enough. So when we talk about experiential learning, all these things come up. The child becomes a critical thinker. Always the children feel that, I have to talk about something new. He becomes an innovator. He researches more. His critical thinking abilities improves. Now, as a result, something which NEP is going to do, and which we are going to see it more visibly, is when the students will leave the school portals, we will not have students, somebody who could just learn it by heart and then, do a performance or just speak it out and then forgot, because he's not imbibed what he is speaking. So when we will see the students in times to come, we would produce critical thinkers, we would produce entrepreneurs. So many students, for example, 3 students of mine have got the best innovator kind of an opportunity, where not only their app They've developed something for farming, and they have got a finance also to improve it and to take it to the market. So already they are entrepreneurs, they are innovators, and they will be better equipped for this time which is going to come, where the jobs are evolving. We now no longer have, those fixed jobs. Now we have new jobs, as Mr. Jitin Chawla was saying. I remember people, experienced people talking about, saying that, I cracked the civil service exam because I was very keen to become a civil servant. So I became IAS, and when my first duty was given, I really actually did not know what is the job of a civil servant. So only when you go onto the field, you get to understand, okay, this is what I have to do. So this experiential learning actually has made schools, a hub of internship. When you have these kind of activities going on in the school, the child gets an opportunity to visit various factories, certain hospitals, areas where they do a hands-on learning. So internship, informal internship, the schools have become. And I'm sure the generations which are going to graduate now from the school will definitely be better acclimatized and better adjusted and more flexible to the job market, which they have to face in the real world.
Yeah. And I guess, besides the skill sets that you're talking about that they will acquire and hone, I'm guessing this new generation will also have, through these active learning techniques, also will help them boost their confidence to be able to deal with real world challenges much better as they grow up. Right?
Absolutely. Hmm.
Mr. Chavla, coming to you, how does integration of such learning, which is experiential learning, actively enhance and shape the profile of a student? Since you are deeply into career counseling, you are
Absolutely.
on mute, so yeah, we can hear you
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of parents have this question that, hey, we have heard of profile building, and today at times I'm surprised. I got a girl in sixth class. I said she's too young. Let her just play around and kind of grow, and then we'll tackle it. But the parent was unwilling, and I mean, I had to suggest a few activities. But typically, eighth, ninth class, when people start realizing that, hey, these are three main areas where I'm passionate. So I would call it like a passion project. That this is one thing. Let's say I'm a student who's interested in startups, entrepreneurship. I'm interested in gaming. I might try to combine both of these, and I'll weave activities around this. So, in fact, Rishant Jan, I remember Dr. Datta. He's from your school. So Rishan Jan,
Yes,
we helped him, and
yes,
Rishant's parents came in, and we ideated, and the psychology teacher also was helping from Modern. So he made an app. We made an app wherein it's called a true test. You ask 10 questions. I mean, somebody answers 10 questions on the app, and you understand whether you're going towards depression. His research paper also was on a topic which is how technology can be used to understand emotions. So all the activities kind of go around it, where we were trying to combine technology and psychology. Yeah. And eventually you are presenting it. If I'm a person who's looking at startup, I'm clear that I want to be an entrepreneur. I would go to EDII Ahmedabad, which is a government-run institute at Gujarat, and they have an excellent camp on entrepreneurship. In fact, better than some of the camps which are done outside India also, at a unimaginable cost of 26,000 rupees, where stay, food, everything is included. ADI Ahmedabad. I would go to TYE competition. TIE Delhi does it at IIT Delhi. It's a competition which is done over 2 months, every Sunday, half a Sunday, and amazing people come. Deep Kalra, Make My Trip, Sanjeev Bichchandani, Naukri.com. Amazing people are coming to handhold children to actually make them do activities so that they can understand entrepreneurship. They make business plans. They try to do their own startup. Again, people have got funding also in this. So depending on one or two areas I identify, I try to build up on it. Maybe in the process, some people might not like that. Like that, no, it was a perception. So you change track and you build up on another area which is your backup option. Yeah. But a typical profile, when we are doing applications for US, let's say. So common app, there are 10 things you can write on. So ECA one, extracurricular activity one, ECA two, internship, very, very important. So maybe I'll just quickly show you a very small this thing on internship. So so this is our own portal where we help children get internship. Can you see the internship portal, please?
Yes.
Yeah. So as you can see, graphic designing, finance and accounting, sales strategy, data analytics. So these are all for school children. Yeah. And in fact, I've done this with top schools where children got in. Again, one challenge is, see, children are young, so they need to understand, hey, how do I interact with corporates? And these are a lot of startups. In fact, Swiggy is also there. Good organizations are there. So children need to understand, how do I, as a person, how do I interact with the company? How do I mail them? How do uh, I got one child through my network an internship of a company in Dubai. The Dubai company owner called up the child to explain. The time was fixed. The child picks up the phone and says, I'm having lunch. Can you call back in 10 minutes? You know, so it is. So I have again seen schools creating PDFs, creating material to train students in internships. Yeah. One school in Vasant Vihar, I remember, they have been helping students do intern. It is compulsory to do an internship after 10th grade. So internships add a lot of value. It can be done purely online, or people can go and do it also. Depends on how, where, when. And then research paper, very very important. So having spoken to a lot of educationists, again, was sitting at a house, and the person was very well connected, whose child I was helping. He made a call to the head of an engineering college, and that person said, hey, school students, I don't think they do internships, they do research papers, they're too young. But then today, out of my cohort of about 230 people, almost 90% write research papers, and they get published in international journal. Uh, Again, just showcasing one more this thing quickly. So, how does it help? You get into a one area, you research it thoroughly. I hope you can see this.
Yeah, we can.
This research paper is on the moral implication of genetic engineering. Yashvardhan, who's a student of Vasant Valley. So children are, handholded, and then they are doing this literature review properly. Of course, their research paper will not be a very big research paper. It will not run into tomes and tomes of pages. But yes, it is published today, and I mean, all research paper, and not only Indian, international journals also. So research papers are important. Doing your own startup is important. Tech projects are important. One of my students from DPS Gurgaon, this guy, he created not only one but four tech projects. How do you, he made a project which can predict housing prices. He was able to collect a lot of data and predict house flat prices in Gurgaon for the next 3 years. He created a model like that, and so on and so forth. So projects are important. Competitions are important. Maybe I'm a humanities student, I identify that I'm good at writing. I'll go for the best writing competitions. I would go for competitions where I can explore things like psychology, where I can explore liberal arts, where I can explore public policy. Center for Civil Society has a program for school students, wherein they give a couple of days training on public policy, on what is happening in governance side. Because for humanities, governance consulting is a big big area. People like Samagra Governance, Dalberg, GDI, they have changed the way state governments work. I mean, amazing work which has been done. So, if a child is working on all of this, automatically one's profile is created. But maybe there's a student who's excellent at sports. Yeah. Then I would say, hey, you play your sports, you participate in national level, international level, and that child will not get time to do tick mark all of this. But if I am a child who's kind of building up, then maybe I'll try to tick mark at least 6 7 points of this, like research paper, internship, social project, tech project, if case I'm interested in technical things, and then I would build up.
Thank you, Jitin. Coming to you, Dr. Gupta, while Jitin did touch on research and internships, community service is one area now which is very popular format of hands-on learning. So, how does your school foster these partnerships to create meaningful and impactful learning opportunities for your students?
So, Rupali, I would very proudly say that I come from a school which is a legacy of Padma Shri late Dr. Lakshmi in See, as early as that time, started community service in the school. So two things which we are very, we're stakeholders, we're pioneers. Is one is community service, and another one was a scholarship scheme, which now is called as EWS scheme. So Dr. Rajni Kumar started it, and which we do it, by all our heart and soul. Our students visit communities. We have adopted two villages in our neighborhood areas, which is Dasgara and Todapur. And our children, in ninth and 10th, they're prepared by participating and giving them awareness to the various NGOs. But in 11th and 12th, they visit the slums. They do activities in the slums. They engage with the grannies. They look after their, well-being. They do the cleaning and storytelling. So, what is happening? They're not just distributing things. They are being sensitized. They become empathetic. They understand the other person's emotions. And this goes, once they do this, it remains with them throughout their life. They would like to then join NGOs and then utilize how their time can be utilized in community service initiatives. So as a school, of course, what Dr. Datta said, that earlier this problem was not there of commuting, because traffic was not such a big deal. In our timetable, we've given 3 periods to the community service for the section when they get that time to go. So in 3 periods, they're expected to visit the neighboring slum or basti, perform, do the activity, whatever they're supposed to, and get back. Many a time they get late. We run into the other class, so we then carefully plan our timetable in such a manner, because the traffic and commuting is a problem. But this does good help to the children. They're sensitized towards their community. They be more thankful. They value what they have got. And when the students get, or anybody, any human being, values for what they have got, they're blessed to have things. So it becomes their, a duty to serve others who are less privileged than them. I think this community service does, and makes them a good human being. But because at end of the road, I always tell my students that 99% or 98% or 60% will not be engraved on your forehead. But when you are going out talking to people, how do you conduct yourself? How do you communicate? Are you sensitive enough? That takes you, much stronger and longer. So community service plays a very important role. And not just these bastis, then we collaborate with certain NGOs, and students from their pocket money will collect pens and pencils or basic things. Sometimes they make medical aid kit, which may have basic tablets like Disprin, Pudin Hara, Band-Aid, things like that, in a transparent pouch. And then they go to the community or the needy people, and then they hand it over to them. So I think community service plays a very important role in shaping character building of the students.
Absolutely. And such service oriented learning also must
Yeah,
be such an
very
must be
satisfying.
really gratifying and
Yeah,
humbling
yeah,
experience for students as well.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Chapla, since you have also been sharing with us where to take up internships, research, etc., I just thought maybe summer camps also came up in one of our in our discussion at one point. So, in what ways do summer camps facilitate experiential learning for students? And if you could also recommend some summer camps in India for parents and students who are listening to us that they may consider.
There are amazing summer camps happening in India as well as all over the world. So, summer camps, how do they help us? One, they provide you a neutral space. As a child, I might be growing around, and maybe I have people around. I have grown up as a shy child. Now, when I go to a different environment, it gives me an opportunity to just re-ideate myself, re-innovate, and do whatever. So I might be very different. Yeah, and I've seen some children, while in their nearby area, they're of a certain kind. They go on a trip, they become absolutely. So similarly, a summer camp gives you amazing inputs. Of course, there can be certain directions to it. Let me give you a few examples. Uh, there are okay. If I'm a humanities person, or maybe I want to do that, I'll go to OP Jindal Aspire Summer Camp for Law and Public Policy. I'll go for Plaksha. In fact, it has just come out right now. Young Technology Scholars Program, which can give me both on the bio side, or maybe I'm the PCM or the tech side. So it can give me both. So Plaksha has very good summer program. I can look at Symbiosis. They have a very good summer program on management. I can look at IACR. They have a good program. ISC Bangalore is doing a one-day open day. Yeah, it's on 24th of February. ISC. ISC is a topmost science institute in terms of research in India. So again, an exciting opportunity which will really open up people's mind to possibilities. Check out Curiosity Gym Mumbai. Curiosity Mumbai again provides summer camps on technical side. It can be on 3D printing, on robotics, on usage of AI, app making, and so on. Makers Asylum Goa again is doing very good work, and they again have good summer camps. Internationally, there's a friend of mine who's doing a summer camp at NUS. So NUS professors, and it's a very unique camp. They'll be integrating like management and technology, finance and technology, and a lot of children would be participating in projects, and they would also get to meet the top people from the financial world. So Bank of America, somebody is coming in, Amex, somebody is coming in. People are into currency trading, people in treasury management, and so on. So that's a good camp. Ashoka University has a very good camp called Lodha Genius. It's a camp for people who are interested in maths. We recommend to our students to participate in this American Mathematics Association contest also, which is again an amazing thing for them. Last year, my student went to Cornell for a camp on mathematics. In fact, you will be surprised. The professor who was leading the camp, he said to Harsh, my student, that hey Harsh, I will write your LOR. Yeah. So imagine a student who has no network, but he goes for a camp, and the professor who's chairing it, he
Beautiful.
is LOR. Oxford has a good camp. LSE has a good camp. I traveled across Turkey, which is typically not talked about so much, but KOC University does a camp which is free of charge for science students. It's a free of charge camp. Yeah. There's a delightful Istanbul done by the government of Turkey where people, young children can participate from all over the world. My only this thing is, at schools or other places, it has to be taken to the parents because a typical parent still feels that hey, my child is too young. My brother, who's outside India, his children started doing summer camps from the time they were in second class. Yeah, they started going outside somewhere and staying outside independently. Hence, they're able to do independent thinking. Largely, when it comes to career or stream choices, a lot of time children are not able to think independently. So when they go and stay at different places, when they go and do an internship, so their independent mind develops, and then they can choose in an appropriate manner. Otherwise, I find students from even top colleges coming and discussing that, hey, I don't know which side to go. How do I go about it?
No,
So these are some of the camps which people can look at.
brilliant. I mean, thank you so much for those inputs. Yeah. Sorry, so you're saying something?
I was just saying that there are amazing camps online. I showed a portal outschool.com. It's a Y Combinator incubated venture. So they have a lot of online summer camps also. Sometimes children are not able to travel. I
Yes.
remember last to last year, people did not want to travel.
Yeah.
I think as many as 14 students who were there with us, they enrolled with UC Berkeley's online program. And children are up all night and participating in a camp, and the professors are there in the US. So those possibilities are also there. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for those inputs and that list. My final question is to you, Dr. Datta. How does hands-on, and it's my favorite question of often like to ask. So, how does hands-on learning provide students with the opportunity to learn from failure? And how can this in turn help them foster resilience and growth in the face of setbacks?
Dr. Datta, you're mute.
I am a mute just a minute.
Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Now
Can you hear me
we can
now?
hear. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we
Can
can.
you hear me now? All
Yes,
right.
yes.
So you said your favorite question, and it brings me to my favorite word, the resilience that I always talk to my students about how you bounce back. General Patton talked about that it's not about how you are when you are at the top, how you come back into the game. Life is all about that. I think we should give room to explore and to make mistakes and encourage our students to reflect on their experiences. NEP talks about the fun learning. There should never be any stress on a child, on anyone for that matter. For performance happens without stress, the choking doesn't happen. When I talk about the stress, I'm reminded of Mr. Kapildev, who came to the school and was interacting with the students. One of the students said that we have a fear that we are trying to be cricketers, but if we don't succeed, then what happens? That brings a lot of stress. He said, if that brings stress, don't play the game. Don't play it at all. Don't why play cricket if it brings stress to you. So, meaning to say is that I think one should be fearless. Like Ma'am Gupta just said, once you do a thing, the fear of the thing gets over. Something, do something, and the fear of the thing is bound to be over. We must allow the students to try whatever they want to do in life, whatever they can achieve. They must give it a go. I'd gone to South Africa on a round square trip, and there outside a school, I found something very strange written. This school prepares you to fail. Now, I understood, of course, what they mean to say is that if you do not succeed, how you cope life. You're trying
Okay.
something, you don't succeed, you have to be prepared for that. And it can be done nothing better by these sports. I talked about Mr. Kapildev and Ma'am Gupta liked about talking about the childhood games which improve the hand-eye coordination. When Mr. Kapildev had come, I talked about the times when he used to be playing in Australia, and there he broke the stumps from a point. He was fielding in the covers when the Australians were trying to cross over for a single that looked like happening, but he broke the stumps from from the position where he could see only one wicket, and the umpire, the commentator was so embarrassed. He said, well, here they cross over for a single. Oh, there comes the throw, and he runs them out. Couple, they must be playing marbles at home. So he talked about the childhood games,
Yeah.
which are so very important since uh, Dr. Gupta, I liked it. I was reminded of this little anecdote, a little incident that we had viewed on the TVs when the Gary Pecker used to happen. Now, coming back to the subject, well, hands-on learning is not just for students. I feel it is for anyone, for teachers or anyone. One who works will only make mistakes. I always say this. One who is not working, how can he or she make a mistake? One should never be scared of making a mistake because you learn every time you make a mistake, you learn so much. It is like either I win or I learn. So mistakes by hands-on learning are, I think, the best teachers for students. They give us definitely the opportunities and they teach them life's lessons. As far as the word, it fosters resilience. Resilience, I think, is important to achieve something, anything in life. Einstein's theory of relativity, when he had given out as a PhD subject topic, it was rejected. It was called a act of fancy, that it was something very beautiful that you had fantasized, but far from reality. But he stuck onto the guns, and today he's known to have given out this theory. As for the resilience, like my favorite word you talked about, uh, well, I think that's what makes our students what we are trying to make them. I tell them about the 11th match we are preparing you for. We again, taking you back briefly to cricket, we had Mr. Madan Lal, and there when he came, I was talking to my students. I recall we had lost the 11th match in the World Cup. That is what we must prepare the children. You win 10 matches, all right, but it is the 11th match which is going to count in life.
Sure,
Now,
sure, sure.
I'll just wind up with one small thing. I think failure is a stepping stone to success, and
Yeah.
there's nothing that is impossible. The very word impossible says, I am possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Datta. Just to conclude, as we conclude, there is this enlightening episode of HT Talks. We learned that by encouraging experiential learning, schools empower students to not only absorb knowledge but also to apply it in the real world context, fostering holistic development. Thank you, panelists, for your insights. And dear audience, keep exploring, keep learning, and let's continue shaping the future of education together. Thank you all for coming
Thank
into
you.
today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you.